Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CSW65 Delegate Meet and Greet. So normally we would be having a delegate orientation, but because the entire platform is virtual this year, we don't have to give you all the details about what to do when you're in New York City at the UN. And so in many ways, that's disappointing. And we hope that you'll have an opportunity, if you haven't yet, to be a delegate to Pathways to Peace and to be at the United Nations, because that's an extraordinary experience. And in other ways, this has really broadened our ability for participation. So many more people from around the world have been able to participate because of the fact that the venue is all virtual. So welcome. What we mostly want to do is introduce you to a few of our key leaders at Pathways to Peace. Many of you know one or all of them. And then really to leave enough time for you to get to know each other a little bit. This is an extraordinary group of delegates, and we want you to have an opportunity to say who you are, what you're about, what your connection is to Pathways to Peace if you so desire, what you're interested in, and for us to be able to answer your questions. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Avon Madison. Avon is our co-founder and president of Pathways to Peace, and as such has a long history with the Commission on the Status of Women. So Avon, I'm going to turn it over to you.
First of all, welcome to each of you, and thank you so much for taking the time to be on this call together, and for those that will be listening later for taking the time to listen as well. Just know you are part of the community, and even though you can't meet each other physically at the United Nations, it allows more to participate from afar in a virtual community. And many of you already have been delegates at the United Nations for Pathways to Peace, or are or have been UN representatives as well. And part of what is so extraordinary is that you have the opportunity, even though it's virtual, to be able to go to attend many of the side events and even the consultation day, if you so choose, with greater ease, and not have to go through traffic or find that the room is already crowded and you can't get in, or the one you wanted to see has been canceled. So in a way, this allows greater access and fluidity. And what is very important is Pathways to Peace has been involved with many UN conferences on many different subjects over the last 40 years, but CSW has been very important. And in 1995, at the Fourth World Conference on Women, Pathways to Peace was invited by the chair of that commission to present in Beijing. And we put forward an intercultural, intergenerational presentation. But that was just one aspect. But what was so important was that the declaration and program of action that came out of that particular Fourth World Conference on Women has still not been implemented and fulfilled. So you're part of a process of being engaged, bringing your fresh ideas forward, making your presentations, gathering information, and knowing that what each one of you contributes is very important to the evolution of the role of women and girls in what we would call building an integrative, just, sustainable, renewable, inclusive culture of peace that benefits all beings. And I think what I'd like to do is just turn it over to Tez again, because what's most important is that each of you has an opportunity to introduce yourselves, bring forward whatever is arising for you, and to respond to any questions that you may have. But thank you, a deep bow of gratitude to each one of you.
Thank you, Avon. And before we move into your introductions, I'm going to ask for a little bit of additional background. So David is going to share kind of a little bit about his history with Pathways to Peace, a little bit on CSW, and to also share with you the Pathways to Peace mission, values, and what I call our vision card, but has been called the peace card, to really ground us in really who Pathways to Peace is as an entity and what we truly care about. So David?
Well, hello, and I'm delighted to be here, and welcome to everybody. I've been with Pathways to Peace since the beginning, and when it first started off back in the 80s, early 80s, and it's been an incredible journey of personal discovery as well as discoveries about peace building, and how we bring that to life in our personal lives and in the community. Um, I went to, I think it was 2 years ago or three, that um, Irene, my partner, and I, Irene's been a very important part of Pathways, did go to the Commission of Status of Women in New York. It's a very powerful experience, and just knowing that um, representing all parts of the world coming together and bringing and key people have said that the change of the world that is necessary, the savior of the world, are women, and it's really going to be the coming into full full presence in every way that's going to really make the major difference in our world to become, sustainable. So I wanted to share with you some of the points about Pathways to Peace, because this is what you're representing. This is what we all represent when we're, living our daily lives, as well as coming to something like the Commission on Status of Women. So delighted you're here. The vision for Pathways to Peace is a world at peace. The mission is Pathways to Peace expands the understanding and expression of peace, fosters peace builders and peace building activities, and builds an integral movement for a culture of peace. Values that we hold is very important, is being multicultural, being intergenerational, being global and local, cooperation and collaboration, and diverse pathways to peace. Everyone is a pathways to peace, bringing our consciousness to that and our choices to that. The full vision of a world at peace, our vision, is the following. And just let this come in. Imagine a world where governments respect the human rights of all their citizens and settle disputes by the rule of law for the common good, where people have food, shelter, and access to medical care, and children are born into and raised by healthy families and communities, where literacy and education are all for all are accomplished facts, where economic practices create well-being for all stakeholders, including communities and the environment, where beauty, the arts, and media inspire the best in people, where the benefits of science and technology enhance all circles of life, where tolerance and appreciation of diverse religious beliefs is the rule, spiritual practice is encouraged, and reverence for life is fostered. Where the earth in all her her natural beauty is treasured and its resources utilized sustainably for this and future generations. This is a world of peace. You are a pathway to peace. So thank you for bringing this to your heart, to your mind, to your spirit, and your presence as you move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. And we have George Anthony with us, and some of our delegates would say Mr. Anthony. And so George, welcome. And I asked George can introduce himself, but he is a Pathways to Peace primary UN representative. And he wears many hats, and those hats tend to come together in the form of our delegations, in the form of what occurs at the Commission on the Status of Women, and so very much more. So I asked George if he would talk a little bit about those interconnections. George?
Thank you, Tez. How is my audio?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, my computer's a little bit on the brink because it gives me a Brooklyn accent, so I might sound that way. So thank you, Tez, and thank you, dear Avon. So good to hear your voice. Yes, I'm, as Tez stated, I am the UN primary representative, and I work for Pathways to Peace closely with David in creating that culture of peace. I'm supported by an extreme professional group around me. Of course, Marlenis Rosa, who has been with me for many years, going on, I think, 4 or 5 years. Marlenis has been an integral part of the success here in New York, New Jersey area regarding Pathways to Peace. And of course, Jennifer Morrow, who a wonderful relationship working as this, she's one of the senior editors at the Trenton Monitor, and great, beautiful background in communications, international relations. So we welcome Jennifer, and Jennifer spoke last year at CSW65. So we have a wonderful history with Jennifer, and we look forward to this year. Also, Katie Carr, another integral part of Pathways to Peace here in the New Jersey, New York area, and wonderful, great experience. So it's exciting for me to be here in this group, and we have a couple of young delegates coming in this year. Emma DBAs, who's been now with me for 3 years, even though she is young in age, but not young in spirit. She's got a wonderful global spirit. And I also have Katie Viscardi here, an alumni who worked very hard with Pathways to Peace last year, attending many conferences. And Katie's got a great future in this field because she is so dedicated to world peace. And young Catherine Volk, I just want to, Noel will introduce himself. She again, along with Abigail and Mia Rodriguez, is part of my engines that are running my program. But Catherine is a powerhouse in her own right. So I welcome Catherine's involvement. And you know, and again, working in my Pathways to Peace and Modern Day Prep Global Institute are sort of joined together in spirit, but is also in action. And we utilize the strength of of Pathways to Peace in pushing the message of peace further. Last year, we teamed up with Deborah Green, the peace traveler, in My Mask is For You. And Deborah worked very closely with some of my students, and we created a video that was just extraordinary. And you can see it on Prep for Peace. This is the site that the Global Institute created 3 years ago for my freshman class that addresses the issue of education, continuing education, as well as providing the opportunity for refugees as well as other children to continue their education without being interrupted. So that is something that we've been working with very closely with Pathways to Peace and pushing this educational toolkit forward. I just want to mention, because I just realized as I'm going around without my glasses, I also see my dear friend Sarah Thoma here. Sarah and I go back almost 15 years, maybe a little bit more, 20 years, to working with New Jersey government on the governmental level. And Sarah brings a wealth of knowledge and networking. And she'll discuss, but she's now recently working with another NGO regarding water spirit, but I'll let Sarah just explain that herself. So for myself, and Tammy's here too, so hi Tammy. So this is good company. CSW65 has always been at the forefront of policy making, moving the message forward and creating the ripples throughout, the currents throughout the world that deal with the human element, specifically women's rights and equality and gender equality. And the Global Institute is sort of creates this how do I explain? We always say we provide the tools so our students can build a better world. So Pathways to Peace is our toolkit, and we're part of it. And as you can see with Caitlin Grano, Elizabeth Sheridan, and now Emma and Catherine Volk coming up behind them, it's a continued success story. So I welcome my involvement with Pathways to Peace and continued involvement as well.
Thank you, George. So for those of you who are brand new to being a delegate, George, Anthony, and Matter Deep Prep and the Global Leaders Institute, which are really his students that have been brought up in the peace tradition, I'll say. They are in New Jersey. So many of his young leaders are at the UN for many of the conferences, including CSW. And so we've had the wonderful opportunity to kind of have a seamless kind of joining of our Pathways to Peace delegates coming through Pathways to Peace, along with the delegates coming through Matter Deep Prep, Global Leaders Institute, and connections that George has throughout New Jersey and New York and beyond, and combining those with our office in Minnesota, which is where I am, and David is in Arizona, and
Oregon.
Yeah,
Oregon.
Yes, Ashland, Oregon. I'm sorry. Where did Arizona come from? Maybe it's I'm dreaming of being there as I'm looking out at the snowstorm.
Right.
And then Avon is in our corporate office in California. So we draw our delegates throughout the country, but throughout the world as well. So welcome to kind of this global delegation and representing Pathways to Peace. So it is you, and you are a pathway to peace. And so this is time for introductions. And then I'm sure you have questions, especially this year. Everyone's a little confused about the virtual format. So I will walk you through that as well. But now is the time where we get to know a little bit more about you. And so we're going to do this popcorn style. So I'm going to ask one of you to begin and tell us about who you are, your work as it relates to peace and peace building, and anything else you'd like to tell us about your presence here, what got you to this particular point in time. And then when you're done, you get to call on someone else in the group to do their introduction. So I'm going to begin because she's at the top of my screen with Tammy. Tammy, would you begin?
Of course. So hi, everybody. It's really wonderful to get to meet you. I've been looking forward to this all day to just say hi and whatever. So in 1982, I lived in Switzerland, And when I came back from that Swiss experience, I remember saying to my parents and my family and the very small rural community that I lived in that I wanted to have world peace. And I feel like it has taken me literally 40 years to come full circle to be able to work specifically in that arena. I have had a cross-cultural training company, which was helping mostly Americans, but some international people as well, learn about different cultures that they were living and working in. And at the time that I sold that business, I wanted to play the harp full time. And probably for the last 5 years or so, I have really felt a deep calling to somehow merge my love for international relations with my music. And the month of December and January of this, just like 3 months ago, it all kind of went click, 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 all into place. And so I'm just absolutely thrilled to be a part of this. And so, yeah, I'm just excited. I'm on the archives project with PTP. And so we are working specifically with Avon and David and Joni to really mine the history and the wisdom and get it archived, get it on paper, get it into some documents. So I'm very excited about that work as well. So,
Yes.
and I think I'm supposed to call on somebody. So, Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Morrow. I was brought on after interviewing actually George Anthony and some of his students going to the UN in my current job, which is managing editor of the Monitor magazine, which is a magazine for the Catholic Diocese of Trenton, New Jersey. So I've always been interested in international relations and kind of a UN junkie is what I always tell George. And he invited me to come one time to the UN when some of the modern day prep students were presenting, and I loved every minute of it and try to get modern day and PTP news when I can into our magazine. Last year, I was very honored to be brought on board and meet Tez and Eamon and so many of the other great members and be a presenter on technology for all generations, which was like a dream come true. I loved every minute. I've been really looking forward to this UN. I'm signed up for something every day this week, I think, and I love it. This morning I listened on my commute to work on one of the Zooms, and just looking forward to everything. I guess that's about it. I'm currently working with Catholic Relief Services to start a chapter in Central New Jersey, which Catholic Relief Services helps provide international aid to countries all around the world, especially those that are underprivileged. So I'm really excited about that too. I think that's what I got, but just really looking forward to the next 2 weeks and really proud to be among everybody on this call. I'm going to go with Emma.
A little feeling, but so my name is Emma DBAs. I am a sophomore at Modern Day Prep and part of Mr. Anthony's Global Leaders Program. I've been doing this for about 4 years now, and it all started when we were in the city with Tez and Mr. Anthony and 2 alumni sitting there for religious persecution, and something went wrong with technology, and I fixed it, and that whole thing just started sprouting from there. What I really wanted to do, when I was about 6 years old, I wanted peace in the world. I was saying that I wanted to be president of the United States so I can change the world and I can change the face and be the change that happens in the world and make it better, more peaceful for everybody. That dream still stands to today. I still want to become president and I want to change. I want to change the world because our world is changing in bad ways, but also is changing in some good ways as well. I have this little saying that I say on almost all the posts that I have on Instagram or Facebook saying, be the force that inspires change, be the change that makes a difference. This quote, I've been saying it since 6 because I have been wanting to be the force that changes everything. I want to be the change that makes a difference in the world, makes everybody happy and more together. When COVID started, I felt more, I wouldn't say isolated, I felt more social with others because, again, I was working with uh, Deborah Green with My Mask is For You, with the Global Leaders Institute, and that really brought our connections with everybody, with other people, because they didn't, just because by wearing a mask you can be a force that helps you get into just a little movement that doesn't go so big, but it happens. um I've been working with Mr. Anthony since 7th grade. He has brought me into everything that I know, and I just have to thank him for that, because without him I would not be the person that I am today.
I just want to add to young Emma. She's also now one of the technical experts for Season for Nonviolence conference that's coming up this week, March 18th and March 25th. And I know March 18th is a global interreligious panel of some of the greatest minds in this country and abroad. And Emma has been running the technical side of this. So Lindy has been giving her a lot of responsibility, but she's a trooper. And on a side note, I threw it in a contest, a World Quest contest last month with very little notice, 3 other players, and they are now entering into the nationals next month. So they came in 3rd in Jersey, New York competition. So good things are happening for Emma, and we all benefit as a result of it. So thank you, Emma.
I'm blushing.
Go ahead, pick someone, Emma.
I picked Catherine.
I'm not surprised. Thanks. My name's Catherine, Kat. So like Emma, I'm with the Global Leaders Institute at Matter Day Prep. I'm a freshman, so I started working with Mr. Anthony and this whole project in September. Obviously this year we haven't had as much going on because COVID and everything, but we are working on a project called Be the Change, and we're trying to talk about the change in our world and how we can make an impact. I am the student director for our Global Leader Institute, along with Abigail O'Sullivan. Like Emma, I'm very interested in politics and gender equality and plan on running for office myself one day. I don't know. I like public speaking and I'm a Girl Scout, so there's some fun facts about me. Mr. Anthony, have you gone yet? Do you count?
Yes, thank you. So you can pick somebody else.
Sorry, I don't know anyone.
You can pick them from their names. Go
From
ahead.
their names.
Katie Carr.
Katie Carr.
Sorry for the lighting. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Katie Carr. I've been with Pathways for almost 2 years. I'm currently doing social media and basically whatever else needs to be done. So basically I got involved about 10 years ago now. I went to graduate school in London for international relations and international non-governmental organizations. While I was doing that, of course, a lot of my classes focused on UN politics, international law, humanitarian issues. And I just so happened one random day to run into somebody who from my town who also happened to be very into the UN and brought me along on a trip. And kind of from there, I've just been able to get more involved as I've, got to know more people. Outside of Pathways, I also do some volunteer work. I'm working with the Arthritis Foundation, doing advocacy at the national level and the state level, as well as some social media for them as well. And I will
You have a parallel event coming up.
Oh, I do. My God, how did I forget about that? Listen, it's been a long week. It's Sunday. Yes, if you do not know, I am hosting the first round of parallel events for Pathways. That would be on Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have not signed up for it, it's forced sterilization and rape as a form of genocide. It's going to be nothing but laughs. Sorry, I couldn't make it any more depressing. But that was a topic that I actually became interested in while I was in grad school. So, but I will move on to another presenter, Marlenis.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, everyone. My name is Marlenis Rosa. I'm a representative for Pathways to Peace. I've been involved, I would say, probably for 5 years now. What I do professionally, I'm an investigator for a Child Protective Service agency in New Jersey. So my job entails investigating abuse and neglect of children. Aside from Pathways to Peace, I also sit on the Youth Representative Steering Committee with the Department of Global Communications at the UN. That's a mouthful, but it's an awesome opportunity to be able to work with the youth and really kind of create that bridge between what the wonderful work that the youth are doing all over the world and also bringing it back to Pathways to Peace and vice versa. I guess what got me here was just my desire to want to make a difference. I'm a mom of 2 toddlers. I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. So, my goal is to not only leave the world a little bit better than I found it, but also leave a legacy for them, and kind of create or help create a better world for them and also all generations to come after them. How does my work relate to peace building? I mean, I work with abused kids, so just kind of, bringing that peaceful nature and having justice served for them. I also have a parallel event coming up at the end of the month. It'll be March 25th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's on child sexual abuse.
Who would you like to choose?
Sharon.
Hello, my name is Sharon Pomeroy. I am new to Pathways to Peace. I, by profession, am a special ed teacher. So I just moved to New York at the end of June from Illinois. So this year I am an in-home tutor and I work with kids with autism in their homes as well through the Cerebral Palsy Corporation. I'm really excited to be a part of this and to be going to the forums and listening to you guys and going from there. This is really an exciting time for me to be a part of all of this and be a part of the Women's Conference. And I hope that in time I will be able to be a speaker as well and present. So I'm just really grateful to be a part of this. And I don't know, because I was late getting on, so I don't know who's been called and who hasn't. Excuse me. So I'm going to pick a name, and if you've already been called, how about Deborah? Have you already gone?
That's good. Deborah.
All right, yay.
There you go. Hi, I'm Deborah. I've been working with TES for a number of years with Pathways to Peace, and I'm a big fan of Avon Madison. I've been working in the peace field for a number of years, especially about building bridges, creating programs in jails, and a lot of different art programs. Traveling around, I'm known as the Peace Traveler and have traveled all over the country interviewing people about their state of peace. Did that before the last election, 2016, and I got over 1,000 interviews talking to people about their state of peace. And I'm actually going back and interviewing those same people now, which is really interesting years later, and to be doing it during a pandemic and seeing where people's hearts are. I'm also studying right now. I am getting a master's and hopefully then the year after a PhD in global diversity governance from Coventry University. And it's the study of policy and the machinations that help create a more equitable society. And thesis and my research is on really solely focused on peace technology and the use of language and art, and finding ways to bridge through how we brand and how we connect to each other viscerally through the arts. I'm really excited to be doing this panel. For it, I'm working with some of the people on the panel. And so Kimberly, I'm gonna call over to you in a second. She's an artist. Actually, you can see one of her pieces behind Tez. And originally we wanted to create Lysistrata in a Broadway theater, which is not going to happen right now. So instead we have kind of this global short piece that we're creating. We have a 5x8 piece of her artwork, which is a female archetype, this just beautiful woman coming out of the birch trees. And I've stretched it, and it's going to literally be placed in a field of snow and coming out of the birch trees with a woman from Siberia, this indigenous woman who's going to be singing. And we're filming that both in San Francisco and up here in Vermont to present. So it's been a handful, and it's been really wonderful. And hopefully that will help us get the performance done in New York so that we can continue having the conversation about how women can use their power in many different ways to help heal the world. So Kimberly, I'm passing to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Well, what an inspiring panel, and everybody who's spoken, and it's so great to see the men and the beautiful the youth, and so thank you, everybody. And thank you, Deborah, and yeah, this is exciting. It is, I hope that we get to be in New York next time, but this is a cool and challenging platform, but I think, like Tez said at the beginning, it's going to really open it up globally for participation and people who wouldn't have maybe been able to participate. So that part's very exciting. It's all very exciting. And Hezekiah and I met here in Taos many years ago. So that's my connection to Pathways to Peace. She came into our gallery. I'm a painter, a contemporary symbolist painter, and we bonded on a lot of different levels, including our love of the divine feminine and working with visual language to reach sort of deeper into the subconscious and to work in healing methodologies that move beyond language. So that's kind of the realm that I'm working with the archetypes. So there's healing frequency embedded in each of my works, and I've been focused on the divine feminine archetypes and healing the earth and humanity and the viewer of the work, and also just the field, the subconscious global field through this work. And so that's what I'm up to, and I'm working on a few different projects. I'm trying to really just help people to make the connection between the body, embodiment, and the earth, and how women's health and gender equality and all of these issues that we're all speaking about, helping people to understand that that connects directly to the environment and to the earth. So it has to do with embodiment practices and the visual language of the archetypes. So that's it in a nutshell, and thank you all so much. And I'm going to call on Betsabe if she's here.
I don't think Betsabe let me know that she wanted to be here, but she ended up having to work until 8 Eastern time. And so I don't believe she's here. And I think, Sarah, we haven't captured your introduction yet, correct? You're muted, Sarah. There you
Thank you,
go.
Tez. Pleasure to
Yes.
meet everybody. I'm so inspired already, quite honestly. I'm new to this group. But as George had said earlier, I've been working with George about 15 years, and I decided I wanted to make a difference in the world when I was about 11. And I've been working ever since that to try to do that. I wound up being appointed to the Governor's Office of Volunteerism a few years back, and I actually made that office international. It was a global format for us to really integrate some of the, the world concepts and making the office a much stronger community. And got to do be involved with some wonderful initiatives, book drives, Suedo Gospel Choir coming to a performance for us as a thank you for what we've done while they were in the area. And from that, I went into federal government, which I realized that was not a place for me. Couldn't make that much of a difference there. So I've learned, but since then I've been working. I came back, I did some reorganization for nonprofits agencies, and I wound up recently teaching a lot of kindness to children at the YMCA. And I've recently transitioned to a wonderful new group, which inspired me. It's called Water Spirit. And it's a spiritual ecology group that is from the Sisters of St. Joseph's of Peace, who is an NGO at the UN. And their focus is on the right of everyone to have water and connect with the environment. So I'm so excited about joining that group as well and helping spread that word and the mission. So thank you all. Very inspired. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. Have we missed anyone?
Katie Viscotti.
Hello, yes.
Katie, thank you.
So my name's Katie Viscardi. I graduated almost 2 years ago from Radcliffe College with the initial intentions to go into the Peace Corps. But due to a placement I had received, it wasn't necessarily the best fit, so I had to turn it down. Everything happens for a reason. A pandemic happened, I would have got sent home anyway. But recently I've been working in a municipality a few towns over. I'm also a member of the Habitat for Humanity's Young Professional Network, and I'm currently applying to some grad schools. One of them is actually the University for Peace in Costa Rica. I had studied abroad in Costa Rica for sustainable development. And there's also 2 programs I'm looking at for green infrastructure in the Netherlands. So we're almost done with all of that. It's been very stressful, especially because it's a pandemic. So I'm like, would it be in person? Would it not be? Most of their classes are hybrid, so I would be fine in this, as of right now. But I'm excited to be here. It's like a deja vu because I think the last time I was in one of these Zoom sessions was for the CSW65 conference last year.
Yes.
I'm excited to be here because I think Pathways to Peace is extremely interesting and has an extremely important mission. That's why I've talked to George Anthony and have connected with him on that before. One of the things that I've been exploring, especially in terms of sustainable development, is cultural relativism. And I think that's one of the most important parts for that ultimatum goal of obtaining peace, is because the best way to achieve peace is to understand what peace means to other people.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Katie. It's so good to see you again. And all of you, thank you. So, so I've mentioned that a lot of folks are having a problem figuring out how to access the schedule of events, because registering for CSW as a delegate doesn't give you permission to have access to the whole schedule of events. It is a different platform. So I'm not going to go through this one more time unless we need to, because I'm finding myself dealing with this many, many times a day these days. So tell me if you have not been able to access the schedule of events for CSW, which there are like 600, 650. Yes, David, we know David has to go. Bye, David. Thank you. Yay, thank you for being here. So raise your hand if you have not yet accessed the schedule of events. And don't be nervous about that. It means you have to register to be an advocate, and then you get an email giving you access, and then you use that link, which is only your personal link, to get in and look at and state your interest in an event. So has everybody been able to do that? You get to do this. Sharon, have you?
Yes.
Good. And Sarah, have you?
I did.
Oh, good.
Yes, I did.
And so then what I'm going to do is, you've heard it here, that we have several events that Pathways to Peace is hosting, or is the actual parallel event is a product of Pathways to Peace. Katie talked about hers on the 17th. Marlene has talked about hers on the 25th. And Deborah mentioned the one that's on the 21st. So I'm just going to pull up those flyers. And what we hope, of course, is that you will, as Pathways to Peace delegates, be able to actually attend those events representing Pathways to Peace. Now, if you just can't, we get that. But if you can, it would be wonderful. When you're accessing other parallel events, and if you have an opportunity to introduce yourself or to ask a question, we hope that you'll precede that or include that you are a delegate for Pathways to Peace in that introduction or prior to asking your question. And hopefully you'll feel comfortable doing that. If you need more information about Pathways to Peace to do that, that's fabulous. So this is Katie's, as she spoke about. So you'll want to find that on the 17th. This is the parallel event that Deborah mentioned, that she is working with Kimberly, with Betsabe, and with myself with Harp Music by Tammy. And it is empowering the divine within through art, theater, and activism. This one is at 4:30. It's actually Eastern Daylight Time probably now, but it's at 4:30 on Sunday, the 21st. We're very excited about this one. We think it's going to be amazing. And then Marlenis's, which she mentioned, Child Sexual Abuse Prevention, Identification, and Eradication, which is going to be Thursday, March 25th. And so we hope that you can access that one as well. So after this call, I'm going to send out this newsletter one more time, just so that you have it in front of you as you're looking for events. And we hope to see you there.
Thank you, Taz.
Thank you.
Questions? Questions, thoughts, comments? Yes,
Do we
Deborah.
need to reserve a space in these events as well? Like go through like we do as if we were there and reserve space?
Yes.
Okay, that's something to note. Yes.
And then it goes into my agenda.
Yeah,
And
I
so
saw that.
you won't have to search through everything to find it again. It'll be listed.
Third time's a charm. I finally stuck, I think. But if you could look, I think I'm up now. But
Yeah, Deborah, you are not
you
alone.
get on
I
too?
tell you, I've been spending a lot of time going through this process. So,
But we should check with Betsabe because she was having trouble too. And I think tonight's the deadline. So we should double check with her that she was
Yes.
able to get it done.
Yes, I did check with her when she let me know about this. And I think we're going to be good there. So, and I'll do a double check on our site. Any other questions? Yes, Jen.
Sorry, now Deb, you got me confused. I thought I had it. Thanks, Deb. No. Wait, so I already went on and like checked off the little mark and got the links. So that means I'm registered, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Okay. I
think there's one more step. You have to actually put in a password.
I saw you, Jen, as listed under my event.
I did.
Yep.
So you're definitely there then.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And you'll want to check on the other ones. Just look at in the left-hand corner of the menu at the top where it says agenda or schedule or something. Katie, remind me, it says my agenda, I think.
Agenda. Yeah, it says my
Yeah.
agenda.
Because all of your events will be listed there.
Okay,
That-
I did it right. They're all there. Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other questions?
Tez, are you looking for any summaries when some of the delegates attend other conferences?
Sure, we can ask if somebody has highlights. I mean, so many times the highlights are about being on the UN campus and being with women all over the world, which we will be with women from all over the world, but it'll be virtual. But if anyone has some highlights they'd like to share in our remaining moments, and then we're going to close with some reflections. So highlights from past CSW that anyone would like to share.
I guess I can share something. I was able to attend CSW63 2 years ago, and it was my first one, but it was amazing to see so many women come together from all over the world for very specific topics. And I think the most amazing part is not only how certain things work on the other side of the world and how you can apply that to your daily living or what you do professionally, but how it applies to just being able to give back to the community and everyone in general. So that was very touching. And then just also being able to collaborate with one another was amazing. Unfortunately, everything is virtual this year, but I had a great time meeting some of the Pathways to Peace delegates the last time that I went, and then just kind of building those connections with everyone.
Thanks, Marlenis. And you reminded me, as CSW delegates, you do have access to stuff that occurs in the General Assembly that other public members don't have access to. So do check out those. You should be getting regular, most of you are getting too many messages from the UN, email messages, but pay attention to those that give you access to some of those General Assembly updates. I think those are all going to be virtual. I myself haven't had an opportunity yet to check that out, but one of the things that was significant for me, based on what you said, Marlenis, was being able to go to the General Assembly debriefs in the morning and sit in the balcony of the General Assembly and hear about what has been happening in the prior day at the General Assembly. And I think those briefings are going to be online this year. So check that out. And if you can't find it, then do let me know. I'll do my best to help you find those events.
I have a
Anything
question.
else?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't know the answer to this, but I'm signed up for like one event. It's actually at 4 a.m. It's like in China. I know when you go into the UN that they have translators. Do you know if there's going to be some sort of translation for internationally hosted events?
I don't know that. It typically is, as you know, because it typically is for the UN General Assembly events. But I don't know that for sure. And some of the CSW 65 parallel events will have some translation as well. Not all of them.
You know, I wanted to add something, and I did notice that, by the way, Katie, there was some place as you came in that said, do you need a translator? There was like a button somewhere. And again, there were so many different pages I went into, I couldn't tell you where it is.
Okay.
Perhaps somebody would know, because it did actually ask that at some point in there.
Okay.
So I think it'll be somewhere, but you might need to find a, good Samaritan to help you with that. I think
You
The
need
thing
a
that I was going to
translator
say
to
is
find the
that one of the
translation.
things that I love the most about the UN is actually, I find that, you know, sometimes it's not the actual events, it's the in-between periods and the people you happen onto and the conversations you have in the hallway, and that those end up being the things that actually move agendas forward and move you forward. So I think it's really interesting to kind of like, lean into that and see, you know, what that feels like if you go to rooms, you know, and see if they're, you know, I'm curious at the end of this for us to get back on the phone and say, you know what, we weren't able to replicate that online, or yes, we were able to replicate that experience, that shared experience kind of feeling. I you know, I'm curious to find out how we'll feel at the end of it, because that's something, you know, there's something about being in those halls and just feeling everybody is here for the good, and you just feel that. So I'm curious to see how this feels.
Great, thank you. Yes, Jen.
Well, I just wanted to share already, like, I don't have the experience yet of going to the actual physical UN with you guys since last year the pandemic had just started when we presented. But even this morning, I was listening to one, it was about they're creating, or they already have created a website it's a global website that would have women's shelters on. So like no matter where you are in the world, if you needed a women's shelter, you could just go there. And after the even just the regular discussion, like I already know of 2 places that are in the Diocese of Trenton that I'm just like, I'm gonna hook these 2 up. So like even though we might not be able to have those like one-on-one interactions, I think it still keeps the creative juices flowing, and that you can even like put in the comments, I'll be talking to you soon, I have an idea, you know? So I'm really looking forward to that until we can get together in real life, just keeping those our minds open.
Keeping a global mindset. That's what, even though we're doing it virtually, right? That's great. Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Jen. That's great. There is a blog. There is a blog and a chat feature. And so if you have the time and the inclination, I think there's an opportunity to do that networking. It's just, of course, going to be different. But again, we do hope that very soon, perhaps in the next CSW66, that you'll all have an opportunity to come back together as delegates and actually travel to the UN. Which
Yeah, I'd like to just even add on to what Tez is saying, not only just be delegates, but possibly look to see, just as Katie Carr has a side event this year, and Marlenis has a side event as well, and Tammy Biggs and Deborah. It's a good idea to see like where can I sort of create a place to get my message out. I know Marlenis has been going, this is her 3rd CSW, so I'm so excited to see that she has now a platform to really present powerfully. So think about your roles next year and possible side events as well. I'd just like to also welcome Jody O'Donnell Ames joining us. One of the delegates came in. She was doing some counseling for the past hour, so she's coming in late. But welcome, Jody, to the CSW65. And I just turn it back to you, Tez.
Yes, Jody, welcome. And thank you for letting me know that you had another conflict, but you were going to try to come in. We're kind of winding down the meeting, but before we do that, would you be willing to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your work in our world?
Absolutely. So my work really began in 1995 with a diagnosis of my husband, who was 30 years old, Kevin, who had ALS. And I was just doing grief counseling with a group prior to being here. So that's where my focus is. But Kevin lived 6 years with ALS. A lot of people don't know about ALS. And ALS is a terminal illness. It affects 30,000 Americans, and there are many children in homes providing caregiving to loved ones living with ALS. Kevin and I had a toddler when he was diagnosed, and in 2001, he passed away. and I started a nonprofit called Hope Loves Company as a result of this journey. And we started with one free program and now run 6 across the country to support caregiving children. And those children are children who have either lost a parent to or grandparent to ALS already, or are currently caregiving and in the process of losing a loved one. So that's what we do. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Jody, and thank you for your work. So as we're closing, I think it might be helpful for Jody as well as for each of us to be able to just give a brief reflection after being in this meeting, now everything that's kind of led up to you being at this particular place at this time. Any final reflection before we all leave this call and go out and continue to do our work in the world? And who would like to begin?
I will happily begin because I just shared this quote that has been instrumental in my own journey, and that is, grief is all of the love we have for someone with no place to go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're all very familiar with grief through this pandemic. So thank you. Thank you. Who would like to go next? And a closing reflection. George?
Sure. Just, I always say that people say, how do you stay so positive? And I always say I surround myself with purposeful people who truly love their purpose in life. And CSW65 will remind us that we will again be surrounded by other people who want to create a better place. And as a result, your spirit will grow from this, and you will again be able to sort of rise to higher ground and create the change we all wish to see in the world. So it's good to be in this group, and it'll just make your spirit blossom in so many ways. So good luck and congrats, CSW delegates.
Thank you, George. Who would like to go next? Closing reflection. Emma, yay.
Why not? So
Yeah.
going on what Mr. Anthony said, how can you be so positive in a time like this? It's just what he said, the people you surround yourself with, but also what you think about. What you think about also helps you either give you in a positive move or a negative mood. So surrounding yourself and thinking that this is going to be all okay, we're all going to get through this together, as long as we support each other, as long as we help each other, then you can carry out your day or carry out your week, month, year with a positive move. Now we're closing in on a year of when the pandemic hit us all, and when Water Day shut down. And from there, that was a time when I really started to socialize with other people, because I knew that we were going to be stuck in this for a little while. So I knew we weren't going to get out and see anybody. So I continued what I was doing. I continued making others happy, while even if it's just through a phone. I continued making my parents proud, my sister proud, even just being at home. And doing that helped me realize that there is a light in the world. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light that we need to go follow. So thank you for this.
Thank you, Emma. Maybe I'll just call on you if you have a closing reflection. You can provide it. If you'd like to pass, you get to do that too. Sarah?
I have a quote that I actually used today in a meeting, and it is, faith is taking the first step when you don't see the staircase. That's a quote from Martin Luther King. So some of us go out with passion, and just letting our passion again guide that light and keep it shining. So for everybody, I'm inspired. Thank you so much for the inspiration, and nice to see you, Jody, in person.
Perfect. Thank you. Katie Viscardi.
I just like to think about how there's no such thing as a universal experience. So everybody here has had a different experience, and everybody here things differently and absorbs things differently and has a different type of passion, as well as everyone who's going to be at these side events and these parallel events in the conference. So to always just keep an open mind, and that's the best way to get the most out of anything. So
Perfect. Katie Carr.
Well, I'm going to start by doing my normal shameless Instagram, Facebook plug. If you do not already follow us, go and do it. Make sure you repost us. We're posting all the events for the 3 PTP panels. So, you know, if you know anybody else who's attending the event or wants to attend the event, make sure you get them signed up. I think it's tonight's the end of the night, possibly. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you're like me and you really enjoy the General Assembly stuff, tomorrow is the opening ceremony and Antonio Gutierrez will be speaking. So it's always a great opportunity if you've never got to hear him speak live. So it's really just something amazing to listen to, since you've got the ability to do it for free and from the comfort of your couch.
Katie, thank you so much for encouraging that. Thank you so much. Deborah.
Katie, you always make me smile, so thank you for your shameless plugs. They're awesome. I was really taken back by what Jody said, and so I'm just really deep in reflection about that. And what it reminds me of as well is, you know, having love, that you don't have places for it to go to when we're in isolation, you know, and that's part of the pent up feeling that we're all having is like, we got all this good juju to give to the world. And it's, you know, there's only so much energy that can go out through, through the Zoom, though I do really feel it. And it is absolutely a lifeline for someone who's, you know, up in the woods this winter. So that's what I'm thinking about, you know, may we do it gracefully and be kind to ourselves as we open up and take care of ourselves as we start to go back out into the world, because this is going to be it's going to be an adjustment, even though we're really excited about it. And there are a lot of people that have just gone through a tremendous amount of pain, and you don't know what they carry, but they probably carry something similar to you. So I will spend time in reflection, and thank you, Jody, for that.
Thank you, Deborah. Beautiful. Marlenis?
I wanted to share a quote by Jane Goodall. Only if we understand can we care. Only if we care, we will help. Only if we help, we shall be saved. And I think it's important to think about this across the board. We can't expect to see a difference or changes made in the world if we don't start with ourselves. So I think it's important to reflect on what can I do to either personally change of myself to create a better tomorrow, and how can I help a brother or sister or a friend or someone that needs that extra hand.
Thank you, Marlenis. Catherine?
I just want to say thank you to Pathways to Peace and everything for giving me this opportunity. I'm really excited to be a part of the future change and creating peace in our world and our communities.
Thank you, Catherine. And Sharon?
There's so much to reflect about. You know, everybody that has spoken tonight that I've been able to hear is just so amazing and inspiring. And there's so much out there to learn and to help, you know, to help bring peace, to help other people have that good day, like Abba was talking about, to bring some positivity, whether that's just a child in school, or even in certain communities that I'm involved with, which is, you know, AA, to bring knowledge to women who need these shelters and to just give more, I think is the bottom line. So I just am really touched right now.
Thank you. And Jen?
I guess I just have on my mind right now this idea that the whole last year has been dark. You know, even if you haven't been touched by COVID personally, we all know somebody who has, or we've been staring at the same four walls for a very long time. And I just feel like right now, with Easter upon us and with spring upon us, there's a chance for hope and renewal, especially now that we know we have some new vaccines and we might see light at the end of the tunnel. So I guess I'm just involved, and kind of in this idea of hope of Easter, hope of spring, and hope of renewal and rebirth, and that all of the ideas that we hear over the next 2 weeks is something that maybe spurs new ideas in us, or helps us reach out to other people either in need or people that we can work with to make the world a better place, just one person at a time.
Thank you, Jen. So important. And Kimberly?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. That was all so beautiful. And, you know, the old world, the old ways, it's crumbling, and the new earth is emerging. And I would like to just, offer for us we are powerful creators, and to hold this vision of peace, and to hold the space and the receptivity for the light, and for the new earth, and for the earth, and for the youth, and for the elders and the ancestors, to really just hold that space and envision what it is we would like to see emerging, and to just help be the midwives for this phenomenal golden age timeline that is here right now in the midst of the darkness. So may peace prevail in this world and all worlds. May love prevail in this world and in all worlds.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. And there was a reason that we chose the equinox weekend for the empowering the divine within, because of all that new energy coming in, and it's powerful. And it is about new beginnings, but it is about birthing, and it is about all those things you said as well, Jen. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll close with maybe a few words from Avon, and then we'll let you go about your work in the world, however that looks, for the rest of your day. Avon.
I just put it in the chat.
Okay. All right. So thank you, all of you, for your willingness to become a part of Pathways to Peace. You are a pathway to peace, and we're just so honored and delighted that you've chosen to merge your path to bring it through the Commission on the Status of Women 65. So thank you, and we look forward to our work together. We are here for you. So if you have any questions, you have my email address. Please feel free to contact me. My phone number is on there. That's my cell phone, so you can text as well. Make sure that you have all of your questions addressed and own CSW65. So thank you, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Taz.
Thank you.
You.
Taz.